Hey guys, it's Nonvgs, and today we're going to be going over 10 things that were removed from DayZ, whether they be locations, items, or even just features of the game. In this video, I won't be going over guns and weapons though, since I already made a video covering that. Another thing before we get into this though, is some of the information I literally couldn't find, and a lot of it is pretty difficult to find, as DayZ is an old game, and I'm assuming back then, since it didn't have a large player count, and updates weren't really noted down as well, when certain things got removed or added. So I kind of had to do my best to deep dive onto these. Also, if you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe. Now let's get into it. For the first thing on my list, I have the original Balota Airfield. There has been 2 changes made to Balota Airfield, but I want to focus on the actual OG version, which is before DayZ Update 0.49 took place. Many players nowadays know that Balota is just a low tier and pretty much empty airfield with not much loot to find in it, but the original version included things such as multiple barracks, a military prison, 2 aircraft hangars, an ATC tower, and to the south of it, its own military camp, which, fun fact, this military camp was removed and then placed west of Mishikino, which is the same military camp that stands there still today. Another thing I'd like to point out is the direction that the airfield actually goes towards. Originally, the airfield leaned a lot more towards the town Balota, with the current version leaning a little bit more away. Here's some gameplay from 11 years ago of Balota Airfield, and as you can see, this airfield seemed a lot more prominent than it is nowadays. As you can see, you have the barracks, you have the prison, the hangars. It kind of reminds me of Northwest Airfield in the fact that it seems actually important in a way, which unfortunately, this was all removed in 0.63 whenever Balota was converted to its current form, which is pretty much an empty shell of its former self. Up next on the list is broken arms. This feature was removed sometime back in 2014, I believe. Nowadays in DayZ, you can break your leg, and that is a pretty bad thing to happen. In early footage from breaking your arm though, it doesn't seem to be that bad or substantial as breaking your leg. Even with the fractured arms, you could still at least use your guns. It was just extremely shaky, which makes it harder to hit shots. I think it impacted how long it took to do animations, like bandaging yourself. I'm not too sure though. Another thing is your character used to have an inner monologue in older DayZ, and your character would say that their arm is in extreme pain. Supposedly, you could repair this using a splint, just like you can do with a broken leg nowadays. But literally, a broken arm back then in DayZ does not compare to a modern day broken leg. So I hope they rework this and they make it a lot more serious if they ever do add it back into DayZ. In 2015, DayZ developers did post new animations and models for a character with a broken arm, so there might still be a tiny chance that it ever comes back to the game. This next one is going to be a pretty short one, but we have rainbows. I don't know why they removed rainbows, as they seem pretty cool. From this photo here, you can barely see it, but if you look close enough, it is there. This was removed back in Alpha DayZ whenever they reworked the engine. I feel like it's not that big of a deal that it's gone, obviously, but I feel like it should be re-added, since it does add a little bit to the environment and realism of DayZ. Like, imagine after it just got done storming, lightning. At the end of all of that, you can see a rainbow. I don't know why they haven't re-added this yet, when literally like a year or 2 ago, we had a new skybox update, which made the sky a little bit more realistic and better. Up next, we have spray paint, which a lot of players like myself have seen in game before on community servers, but you might have not known what it actually was in the game and what it did. Spray paint came in 2 colors, that being green and black, and you could use the spray paint to change the color of gun attachments and sometimes the gun itself. I find this feature incredibly cool. I don't know why it's not in the game anymore, but it was removed back in 0.63 when they did a big engine update to the game. Here's some gameplay from back then, and as you can see, it's somebody spray painting their Mosin black. I don't really like the idea of a black Mosin, and it doesn't really look the best, but here you can see in the video they're doing it. Interesting to see that the Mosin has a scope similar to the hunting rifle scope that you can see nowadays. I guess having it black would, make you stand out a lot less during nighttime in certain hours of the day. You could spray paint a lot more guns and attachments, not every gun and attachment in the game, but a lot more than just the Mosin and the M4, I believe. Like I've seen an SKS and a CR527 before. I really think this feature needs to be re-added because it gives you like a sense of personality with your guns. Let me know if you'd like to see this return to DayZ one day. Up next, we have rats. These never made it to the game, but they did have animations and were showcased back in 2013 in a developer blog by Dean Hall, who is the creator of DayZ. It was a dev blog video made about updates in the future of DayZ back then, and at the end, he showcased animations of a rat running around, jumping around, functioning like an actual animal would, and it's just weird to me because he never mentioned it in the video. He just had a video of a rat running around in the background, which he just didn't talk about. Like, the rat can actually move around, it jumps around, it goes idle, like it functions like a legitimate animal would. So there is models, obviously. It is possible to have the rat in the game. I'm not sure why it didn't come to the game. I feel like players could be able to eat the rat, even though a rat probably wouldn't give you much meat. Maybe they'd spawn around dead players eating the bodies or something. I'm really not sure why he didn't talk about it or mention it in the video. I'm not sure why it didn't make it to the final game. I'm sure there would be some uses for the rat in DayZ. For example, many animals don't spawn inside of towns and villages, so maybe you could find rats in houses or around larger cities. Let me know if you'd like to see the rat come to DayZ. Up next, we have the underground at Kamensk military base. Currently, there's these pits with zombies in them, but they are blocked off and you can't access them. Here are some photos of the underground pits and bunkers that you used to be able to access. The military base itself back then was also different, but I just want to focus on the pits and the underground parts. And here is a map of the overhead view of it. Kamensk used to also have these caves, which I'm going to give a quick mention to. But here is the footage of the underground pits from 10 years ago. And as you can see, it's a large ladder that will lead down to a big concrete pit. I'm unsure why they removed these, since you can make fires down there probably. You can use them as some sort of shelter from rain, or you can just like hide down there, I guess. As you can see, this one goes pretty deep down. It just feels unfortunate that the pits were removed and one was covered up, I believe. It just adds a little bit more detail to Kamensk, and it can serve multiple purposes to players. I'd really like to see this return to DayZ with a lot of the old locations, since they add a lot of detail to them. Up next, we have Ragdoll physics. This was added back in 0.47 and was removed in 0.63, I believe. While the idea of Ragdoll physics in DayZ sounds cool, this was so poorly implemented by just watching videos of older DayZ. Models would just slide around, it'd be hard to access their inventory. Here is a video from 11 years ago of zombies ragdolling. This also applied to characters and survivors as well. So, you can notice they slide around a lot. Instead of just dropping straight down sometimes, the zombies would slide. And if you killed a player on a hill per se, the character would slide down the hill, and that would just make it incredibly difficult to go get their loot. As you can see, they just slide all over the place. I think this would be great to have in modern day DayZ. I believe another reason this was removed is it would impact performance. I'm not entirely sure on that, but they need to implement this a lot better if they were to ever add it back to the game, because I do understand why this was removed. After it was removed, they replaced it with normal death animations, which makes a lot of sense. I'd love to see Ragdoll in DayZ, but implemented a lot better. Let me know what you think about that. Up next, we have a Defibrillator. This was used kind of like a reusable epinephrine pen, but you had to use 9-volt batteries to make it work. You could use it on unconscious players, but if you used it on a person who is awake, it would actually knock them out. Here is an old video of someone using it on an alive player, and unfortunately, his game also crashed. So, since the defibrillator knocked him out and his game crashed, it pretty much made his character die. I think the medical system of DayZ should be more in depth, but I just think a defibrillator is just too big to carry around. I don't think it'd be necessary, especially when most of the time, whenever you go unconscious or your teammate goes unconscious, it's probably due to them being shot, and normally that will just result in them being killed. Also, current day epinephrine pens are a lot smaller than probably whatever the defibrillator size would be, so that's one thing. Up next, we have the infamous grass pyramid that stood at Dazbog, which is in the middle of the map. There was multiple grass pyramids across the map, I believe, but this was the longest standing one. It was obviously just a terrain bug with the map, and it was removed in early 2014. After its removal, it was replaced by a sign, kind of just remembering it, and it stated up until 2014. On this place stood a terrain glitch, Pyramid Senshi. Unfortunately, after DayZ 1.0, this was also removed, which I don't know why they'd remove it. I guess they just wanted to move on from it. I think it'd be pretty cool as an Easter egg. Even though it is interesting, I don't think this should return back to the game because why would it? It's literally a bug with the terrain and the map itself, but I still do think that it's an interesting part of DayZ history. Last, at number 10, I have the OG Krasnostav Airfield, which was a lot more similar to a military-style airfield, which now, if you play DayZ, you know it from its yellow medical tents. The old Krasnostav Airfield had things such as aircraft hangars, prisons, and an ATC tower, similar to how the OG Balota Airfield was. Here is a video from 12 years ago of the old Krasnostav Airfield. As you can see, it's a lot more military-based. Nowadays, it's more medical-based because there is Riffy nearby, and Riffy is a gas zone, so you need to get medical supplies, such as NPC suits from, Krasnostav. It was changed from its military style more towards the current one, back in 0.49. While it does look cool, I really do understand why it was removed, since, obviously the modern day one does have more of a purpose. Anyways, guys, it's the end of the video. Let me know if you liked the video, and let me know what you found most interesting from this list, or if there's any other things that I didn't include in this list, because there's many things that were removed from old DayZ. If you really enjoyed the video, please like and please subscribe. Anyways, guys, that's it.